So there's a lot of trauma that I experienced, and it was deeply hurtful. I've got no apartment, no job, no support system. I don't know if I should go back to Spain, should go back to England. I was crying so much I couldn't breathe. I've never cried so much in my life. That when you move to another country, it's just like the biggest life lesson that you can get. I've been molested as a child, like multiple times by multiple people. I've realized how much I was lacking good role models. I want people to understand is that your body and your brain always just try to keep you safe. So stop treating it as the enemy. I failed so many times and there was nothing wrong with me. I've always had this victim mentality. And I realized that no one is coming to save me. The most pivotal thing for me is...
What is happening, beautiful people? This is the Empowered Human Podcast. This podcast is part of Empowered Human Tribe. Some journeys change your life. This is one of them. From the 15th to the 22nd of November, we are going to India. We're going to Varkala for Empowered Wellness Escape, designed for people who have been carrying a lot. To find out more, head over to empoweredhumantribe.co.uk. And big love to our sponsor, Life Lab Supplement. They produce high quality wellness supplements and help other brands build their own. Check them out at lifelabsupplement.com. Before we dive in, go ahead and subscribe, leave a rating, and share this podcast with someone you love. Now, take a deep breath. Open your mind and let's dive in. Welcome to the podcast, Zuzanna. How are you today? How are you feeling?
Very well, thank you.
Yakshimash.
Oh, look at you being prepared.
Yeah.
Do you
I
know
thought, you know what? The best thing that I love doing is learn how to say hello in like most languages. And I thought I've learned a Polish one. I know like Yakshimash, I know Dobrze, I know Dziękuję, thank you.
Dzień dobry.
So,
That's it's a good pronunciation as well.
Thank you. Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's good.
So, how are you feeling about being on the podcast to start with?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
But we're probably going to get into it. But this is a little bit like my dream come true.
Yeah.
It's something that I've been manifesting for a while. So sometimes there's certain puzzles coming into your life and you're like, everything is coming together. And this is one of those moments where it almost feels like the energy is magical because it just feels like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. So thank you so much for that opportunity. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I think I've been seeing what you're doing online. I think spreading positivity is very important. I think in this like society we don't do that enough because all we see is negativity. The news is always trying to feed you more negativity, to get you hooked. So I feel like for me, when I saw like what you were doing with MossMind, I was like, this is my sister, that's my girl. Let's do this together. So I'm gonna get straight into it. Obviously, I've read your story that you sent to me. You've been through so much, from poverty to trauma to deep healing. What would you say your turning point was?
Which one?
Let's start from you choose where you want to start.
I think there's a few different turning points for me.
Yeah.
One of them, it was definitely moving to the UK. I was around 17 and I felt like I didn't fully belong where I was. At the time, it was really difficult for me because my mom already lived in England. Yeah. So I was pretty much on my own, living with my brother that had his life. He was only 24. He wasn't, equipped to be dealing with a teenager and being almost a dad to a teenager. My sister just was doing her own thing. So I had to work. I had to look after my dog. I had to cook, clean, do everything like that since I was 15, 16.
15, 16, wow.
So my mom was in England, and then as well, my brother decided to live with his girlfriend. So I was on my own. So I was like, okay, what can I do? I moved in with my dad. That didn't go too well. And I just remember feeling really, really low, and I felt like I didn't belong and I just needed this big change. So I decided to come to England, and I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm coming to join you. And she was like, absolutely not. But anyone that knows me knows that I can be a little bit stubborn, especially I used to be very stubborn. I'm much better now. And I was like, I don't want to wait until I finish school in Poland. Let me just come now.
That's so brave. Can I just say, like, that is a brave decision. What, I was 17 years old, were you then?
Yeah, 16,
16,
16, 17,
18.
something like that. Yeah. So I just, yeah, within a month, I was in England and I had a very, very basic level of English. At that point, I think I spoke more Spanish than English, even though my Spanish wasn't that amazing.
Spanish? Where'd that come from? From
Oh,
Poland?
I speak Polish, Spanish, and English. I had some Spanish in my school, but then I also later on in life moved for a little bit in Spain.
Okay.
But yeah, I came to England and it was really difficult because I wasn't an adult, but I wasn't exactly a child. I couldn't continue school like everyone else, you know, here in school. So I had to continue my education. For 1 year, I did an ESOL class with teenagers, but later on it was all with adults. So it was really difficult for me to meet people my age. It was obviously difficult to improve a language and feel like, I think when you're learning languages, you need to give yourself a lot of grace. And at that time, I didn't always do that. And, you know, when you know that you're an intelligent person, that you want to meet people and have connections, but then you've got this huge barrier of like, oh, you know, I don't know how to say this, or like you misunderstand something and you feel really dumb.
Frustrated, yeah.
And frustrated. And then, you know, everyone's laughing because it is a funny situation. And now I've learned to laugh at myself when I'm learning new languages.
Yeah.
But back then it was quite difficult. But also it felt like just fresh breeze into my life. I needed that change really badly. And it was another opportunity for me because in Poland, I not always focus on school as I supposed to. I had a lot of potential, but I just wasn't focused. So coming to England was like, okay, like I had to take a few levels down and like restart to do my GCSEs, do my access to higher education. I got to uni, so I could start everything fresh. I focused on myself. Plus, I've always been a people pleaser. So being in England, far away from my friends, from people that used to influence me a lot, it was a new chance to rediscover who I was. So I think that was a first point where I was like, you know what, let me focus on myself. Let me see what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
So that was a part one.
Yeah, that's part one turning point. I think I can resonate with some part of your story. Because obviously I moved to England when I was 15 as well. And but I think looking back, I feel like I had a a support system around me because my mum also moved to England. I think age of like 5 years before. So like I went to boarding school. I had my grandparents, so I had like the extended family around. So like that made it a lot easier. But I can't begin to imagine how tough it was for you at that age, not having the same support system and having to fend for yourself. So I think it's incredible. So yeah, you should be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
And then you were saying you couldn't focus in school like back then. Was it because you had to fend for yourself, or was there other reasons?
I think there's a few different reasons. One of them, for me, it was lack of guidance and mentorship. I think because my mom was a single mom of 3 kids. She was so focused on providing that it was hard for her to be so present and do homework with me. So I would skip school a lot. And another thing, it was like I was quite rebellious and very opinionated. So if I wanted to do something, if I wanted to,
You tell them, girl.
then, my mom sometimes didn't know how to deal with that. And she was so busy and she did the best she possibly could with what she had. And then obviously she left the country. So I had all the freedom to do what I wanted. And I think I was quite lucky as well that a lot of teachers liked me and supported me. And when I sat down and, when I prepped and learned, I was good and I was absorbing the knowledge well. But I think I always lacked the mentorship and guidance. And I think this is something that's been a huge lesson for me within the last year. I've realized how much I was lacking good role models in my life, how much the guidance is really important and how further I would have gone in my life if I had that. But also it's just, forgiving people in my life for not giving me that because they did the best possibly they could with what they had. And also accepting, okay, this is what it is. but what can I do with it now? And where can I find that mentorship, the guidance, maybe some older people in my life that I can learn from. And this is why for me community is so important. And I've been searching for those communities where I can learn from and I can lean and I've been finding them in the different surprising places.
I love that. I think I can almost relate to some part of that again, community, because I felt like when I moved to the UK at the age of 15, I almost lost myself so much so that like I developed a stutter. And again, similar to you, like coming to England, Southeast London, trying to speak the British English. It was hard. And then because Southeast London is tough because schools out there, the kids are, the savage. They will laugh. They would, and that made me even more like reclusive. It made me actually angry as well, because like a lot of time before I go to go and speak to someone or go to the shop, for example, I used to like practice what I was gonna say.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
I used to
my god, I still do that sometimes.
I used to practice it. Then like I think like it creates more pressure. So like when I get to the person I need to speak to, I can't get the words out.
Yes, I can relate to that 100%. And I do that especially now in Spanish. And I'm like, I'm already thinking, oh my God, I'm going to Spain next month and I haven't spoken Spanish for almost a year. Like, and I'm like practicing what I'm going to say. I'm like, just relax.
Yeah.
Because it does put more pressure.
It does. On that topic, I want to like talk about like what people don't know about moving to a different country, especially at a young age. What do you wish more people understood? Because when you look at the news now, everyone thinks, immigrants, they're terrible people. But honestly, like, we're all trying to survive as well. Like, what do you wish more people understood?
I think for me, I look at it from two different perspectives.
Yes.
I was an immigrant twice almost, because I came to England when I was 17. And that's a classic story of like, my mom was working in a factory, I was going to school, we were claiming benefits, any support that we could, because we were struggling, it was just the two of us, and my mom still tried to support a little bit, for example, back home.
I get that.
Which...
Yeah, Nigerians as well. Yeah.
So that was the one part of the story. And for me, I didn't experience as much hardship. It was my mom that took all that load of figuring out all the paperwork, figuring out all the appointments. She doesn't speak very good English. So obviously whenever I could, I was helping with that. And being a child of an immigrant and being an immigrant is like having always that load of like, okay, there's papers that need to be translated and things that need to be done. But overall, my mom took a lot of that load and I could just focus. And to be honest, I remember feeling like, because Polish education is really hard.
Same in Nigeria, it's crazy,
Yeah, I feel like Polish and Nigerians, we have a lot in common. I think especially being super hardworking and focus on education, and Polish education, especially high school, is packed. And I just remember coming to England and all of a sudden I was obviously it was a bit of a different course, but I was in school 2-3 times a week and I was like, what am I supposed to do with myself now? Yeah. And I found it like the level was easier and I was like, okay. And so I was like, let me just relax for a little bit. So there was
I got time.
There was parts of that where I was like, you know what, I can relax a little bit. But other than that, obviously all the things like paperwork and all that hardship, my mom took that. But then moving to Spain on my own, I think it was 2 years ago when I decided to move to Madrid. I didn't end up staying for long. I stayed for 6 months. But this is where I made a plan. I was like, let me go to Spain. Let me live in Spain. Within a month, I was already there. And this was the first time where I was completely on my own in a new country, in a new city that I've never been before. I had to sort all the paperwork. I had to work with the language skills that I had. And people need to know that when you move to another country, it's just like the biggest life lesson that you can get, because you are extremely independent. You don't have that support system. It can feel lonely, definitely can feel lonely, but it can also feel extremely rewarding, because I feel like after I moved to Spain and I came back, I gained this new trust in myself. I'm like, wherever I go now,
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be okay. I know, like, just throw me anywhere.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be okay because I know I've got the skills. I know I've got the resilience. I've got the willpower. And I know I'm going to be fine because I've proved myself that,
Yeah.
you know, I can make the money. I can find a job, even if it's not the job that, you know,
want,
like I know I'm going to be okay no matter what. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's looking more from like a personal perspective.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to society and how they perceive immigrants, I think that's a really complex questions.
Yeah.
I think without getting too political about it, I think people just really need to have a deeper compassion of like everyone is just trying to be safe, like have a good life, and
human first.
100%.
Yeah.
And just people need to get a bit more curious about why people immigrate, why they do it, what they want to bring. And I always say, I'm a big advocate. If you move to a country, you need to adapt. And
integration is so important.
important.
Yeah. Because I believe that as well. Like for me, like I'm very Nigerian, but I'm also very British. Like you know, I embrace, you know, the culture because you're in someone else's country. You have to embrace that.
100%.
And also, you can still showcase your culture and be proud of who you are, but still embrace the, you know.
I feel like I've done it a little bit to an extreme where, because I've always been so passionate about learning about other cultures.
Yes.
My friends actually called me previously like the least Polish person on the planet. And I was like, what do you mean? But then I was like, oh, actually, I know exactly what you mean. Because I came to England and I got so integrated. I refused to have any Polish friends. And, you know, when I'm around my...
You're Polish. Get away.
And then I moved to Spain and I'm like trying to be so Spanish, but then like I'm with my Dominican friends. I'm like just trying to like learn everything from them. And I'm with like my Angolan or Nigerian friends. And I'm like, you know, and I'm trying to absorb the culture and learn and be respectful. But then I'm like, you know what? Also don't forget where you come from and try to be grateful what you learn, because there's so many amazing things that Poland gave me that I'm super grateful. So I think it's having that balance.
Yeah, for me, the word is integration. I love my Sunday roast, but I also love my jollof rice.
Who doesn't love jollof? Come
on. And a cup of tea, so English breakfast tea. Yes, please, Mia. So I love all that.
Love that.
You said you pulled yourself out of survival mode. Like, what did that look like day to day?
Oh, I think it's a very complex thing that took me years. So another turning point for me was when I was around 22. And it was around COVID time, maybe post-COVID. And I lived with my ex-partner. We bought an apartment together and it just felt like I had my life figured out-ish. So we had a 5-year plan. This is what's going to happen. And I was extremely unhappy. I was really, really unhappy. And I think my ex-partner was unhappy too. And I was trying to figure out why. And this is where I tried to make a lot of change in my life and I tried to be more intentional. You know, I tried to lose some weight and I tried to be happier and like figure out what I want to do after I graduate. And every single attempt of change was just ending up in failure. And it was really, really frustrating. And that's where I started to dig deeper. And at that time, I was really unhappy. I had a lot of panic attacks. I was really codependent. I was a people pleaser. I didn't have many friends around me. I was relying so heavily on my ex-partner support and for him to emotionally regulate me. And then it got to the point that like I just couldn't continue like this. He pushed me as well a lot, which I'm so grateful for. And we ended up splitting up. I moved to Spain, but within that journey already, I tried to be more self-aware, figure out, you know, why I'm so unhappy. And I realized that I felt stuck, that my life didn't look the way I wanted to look. I felt like I was wasting my potential. And I think this always been one of my biggest fears, of wasting my own potential. And since I was little, my childhood was really difficult and I've been through quite a lot of difficult things. But what kept me always positive is like I had that vision of myself when I'm much older, when I'm in my late 20s, early 30s. I had the picture of a family. I had a picture of like me achieving amazing things, having a lot of money, you know, being very happy. And I always had that vision in me. And that was my drive. Like no matter what life was throwing at me, when I was working in a warehouse, when I was a cleaner, I always had that vision in my head. And that's what like kept me going. But then I ended up being 22 and I was like, wait a second, I'm growing.
Where's the time gone?
I was like, I'm growing older. I'm already starting to get closer to the age where I was in my vision, but nothing's changing. And that just made me feel so awful. I felt like I was drowning. And then I realized that I've always had this victim mentality of, you've been through a lot of things, so you need to feel sorry for yourself. So everyone else needs to feel sorry for you. So people need to treat you nicely because you've been through so much. And I realized that no one is coming to save me. Absolutely no one is coming to save me. And I have to save myself. And that was scary.
Yeah.
That was a scary thought because you just realize that nothing ever is going to change if you don't change it. But then once I processed that feeling, I realized that it also gave me a lot of freedom and empowered me to learn how to save myself. So like you asked me how that taking myself from a survival mode worked. It was me trying to learn how to save myself. And at that point, I already studied psychology, which was
At uni.
at the university. I studied educational psychology, which was really helpful. And I always wanted to study psychology because I was really curious human being. I love learning about humans. I love understanding humans, but also it came, me studying psychology came from the fact that I was really curious about learning about myself and how to help myself.
Yeah.
So studying psychology helped massively. And I also read tons and tons of self-help books. I listened to podcasts. I journaled a lot. And this was like the beginning of my transformation. But there was a lot of things that I did fundamentally wrong. Maybe wrong, maybe not, because at the same time, I've learned now and I can share it with people. And this is what I'm trying to do now with MossMind. Trying to teach people what I maybe would have preferred to know when I first started. So yeah, at first I just focused on discipline and self-awareness and journaling, but then I introduced a few things that were fundamentally change everything for me. And one of those things, I went to therapy. So cognitive behavioral therapy was great for my self-awareness. But I think after that, the most pivotal thing for me is trying to build a better relationship with myself. Yeah. And I realized that you can try to be as disciplined as you want, but if you don't have a good basis of having a high self-worth and having a great relationship with yourself, then it's just going to be really, really difficult for you to achieve what you want to achieve and have the life that you want to have without sabotaging yourself.
Yeah, I think what you've done is hard for a lot of people, for myself, for anyone, to be honest, to decide that, you know, I'm going to save myself, that no one's coming to save you. I feel like the realization itself can be like daunting. And I think we tend to put a lot of pressure on ourselves as well, because I think I was the same as well. Like when it comes to like, oh, I feel like especially coming from our background, we feel like at this age, I want to be this, I want to be that. But like you've learned, like I'm learning as well, it's like, it's okay. There is no age like, okay, 22, you have to do this. And what I'm learning now myself is that we all have different timelines and we have to honor that.
I think it's really important to have that good balance of letting go of the victim mentality, but giving yourself grace. And I think that was the biggest lesson that I had to learn, that even though it wasn't my fault what happened to me, it was my responsibility to learn how to move on and to heal. And also, one of the biggest things that I realized is like, I failed so many times and there was nothing wrong with me. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with you if you're constantly trying and giving up and failing. Because straight away, we're feeling guilty when we, for example, say like, okay, Monday I'm going to the gym. And then Monday comes and maybe you go, but then you fall off the rail on Tuesday. And then you straight away, it's like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. Why can I not stick with this? And we're so hard on ourselves constantly. And what I'm trying to teach people is that you can achieve your goals without having to be so hard on yourself and without putting so much pressure on yourself, because all you have to do is realize that you're not broken. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with you. All it is, you're lacking the right tools and skills, and your brain is designed in the way to protect you.
Yeah.
So you've learned certain things in your childhood, and your brain wired itself in a way to help you survive. And that survival might look like something that's now just maybe not the most beneficial for you, and it's preventing for you to achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
So all you need now is learn how your brain works.
Yeah.
Learn what kind of systems you need in order to achieve your goals.
Yeah.
So it's like work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with you. It's not about you being more disciplined. And this is probably my unpopular opinion, where I'm like, not everyone has to be extremely disciplined. Discipline is great, but I don't think everyone needs to practice discipline the way athletes do.
Yeah.
Or, like if you want to be the best in the world in something, great, be as disciplined.
Yeah.
But I think for an average human being, like a certain extent of discipline is good, but I think people over rely on discipline, and they don't pay enough attention to actually building the systems that make it easy for them to actually achieve what they want to achieve and to bring the change that they want.
Yeah, I love that. I think what I got from that is that it's not about like full steam every day, 7 days a week, the hustle culture. It's like find a way to work in a balanced way, so like you don't overexert yourself, or you get to a point and you're like, oh, I'm tired, I can't do this no more. You're better just for longevity. You're better just doing small 1% every single day. It will soon add up and it compounds. I think, and I love that. I want to ask you if you can take us back to some of your lowest moments and how you found strength to keep going in those moments.
Again, which lowest moments? Because there's so many.
I'll let you pick whatever you feel comfortable with.
I think I would say a lot of my trauma from my childhood, at the time when the trauma was happening, it wasn't as impactful for me because I wasn't as aware that it's a trauma. As children, we sometimes not very aware. Obviously, I knew some things were really wrong or upsetting me, but I think it's only the impact of it when I realized, when I was much older, I realized the impact of it. I think there was few moments in my life. I think even last year I was going through a really bad breakup, and I think some people find it really surprising that even though I've been through a lot, I grew up in poverty when my mom sometimes struggled to put food on the table. And I dealt with a lot of very close people to me that struggled with severe depression and, for example, attempted suicide. And, I've been molested as a child, like multiple times by multiple people. So there's a lot of trauma that I experienced, and it was deeply hurtful. But my friends sometimes were surprised that my last year's breakup was almost one of the most traumatic things that happened to me. I think because I was so aware of it happening. And I think also because when you almost get everything you want, and there's certain things that you've been craving all your life, like a sense of safety, having a partner that you feel like is on your team, and then it's been taken away from you before you had a chance to prepare for it, or you just realize that maybe that wasn't exactly as true. You just were trying to make it work harder than you're supposed to. And I think my last breakup was quite difficult for me because I moved from Spain and I worked so hard to get there. And then I moved back for my ex-partner, and I moved to a completely different city, so I didn't have my support system. I had a temporary contract, so I was like, okay, now I need to move out. I've got no apartment, no job, no support system. I don't know if I should go back to Spain, should go back to England. Also, I think for me it was really difficult as well, because I was preparing for probably 3 years to get in a relationship. I was doing all the steps because I decided that I want my future partner to get the best, the softest, most feminine version of myself. So I worked so hard to prep for myself, and I also felt so aligned with the timeline of my life that I felt that, oh, soon I'm going to get in a relationship. I felt him coming to my life. So it just felt like it was meant to be. So in a sense, it was meant to be, because it meant to teach me different lessons. So, but it also made it much more difficult for me to let go. And I think at that time, what helped me the most, it was my community. I will forever be grateful for all the women that I've got in my life. My mom was incredible. I will never forget, I had one night where I was really upset. I was crying so much that I couldn't breathe. I've never cried so much in my life. And my mom just was there for me. I was like, I will never forget that. And my best friends, these women just make me feel so incredibly supported. I will be the most messy version of myself. I'll be crying. I'll be just being a bit irrational, and they will never look at me like I'm less. They'll always support me. They will always see the best in me. And I'm just forever grateful for that. And also, I'm grateful because 5 years ago, I didn't have that, and I had to find that community for myself. So I don't take it for granted. And I'm just super grateful for the people in my life. I think this is probably the biggest flex in my life, that I get people in the different countries that get super excited to see me, that love me, that support what I do. So definitely, I would say support system is everything. We haven't been wired and built to do everything on our own.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's beautiful. And big up yourself as well, and the community. And your mum, I think it's important. You talk about you can't bully yourself into healing. What does compassionate self-talk actually look like in person?
You should know this, the affirmations. You're the affirmation king.
Today's affirmation is.
Exactly. I think we can even take it a step back, because I think we need to understand first the impact of trauma and impact of how the negative talk actually impacted our brain. Because I think to give yourself compassion, you need to realize that, again, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with you. Your brain wired itself in a way to keep you safe. And the way trauma actually works, one of the key effects of trauma is that it dysregulates your nervous system, and it also affects 3 main parts of your brain, of your amygdala, which is the small, you studied psychology, but it's the small almond-shaped piece of your brain that is responsible for processing emotions. And when you experience a deep trauma, it actually makes your amygdala more hyperactive. Amygdala is also especially responsible for aggression and anxiety. So this is what makes us more reactive. Then trauma also affects our prefrontal cortex, that is responsible for all of our executive functions. So our logical thinking, our reasoning. Prefrontal cortex is what makes us realize that there is a consequence behind our actions. So trauma actually makes your prefrontal cortex shrink. So there are studies that show that people that experience a lot of trauma will have a smaller prefrontal cortex, and the same with the hippocampus. And hippocampus is responsible for your memory and your learning. So the research shows, again, that trauma affects your hippocampus and it makes it smaller, which makes people perceive time differently. And that's why a lot of people with PTSD have a much smaller hippocampus, because they struggle perceiving what of the memories are actually memories and what's now. So the lines are getting really blurry. So where I'm getting with this is that trauma affects the way you process everything, from your emotions to your memories to your learning. So for example, if you're someone that struggles at school or struggles at work, struggles with your focus, you might not realize that it's because of your trauma and how it affected your brain. So again, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with who you are. It's just how trauma affected your brain. So I think once you realize that, you will give yourself more grace. It's like, it's not your fault. You've experienced something that altered the way your brain works.
Yeah.
But how can I help myself now? And I think another thing that I think is a key thing that I want people to understand is that your body and your brain always just try to keep you safe. So stop treating it as the enemy.
Yeah.
It always just try to keep you safe. So stop being so angry with it all the time. I think people are just like so angry with their bodies all the time. It's like, oh, why am I ill all the time? Like, I'm ill again. It's like, maybe your body is trying to tell you to slow down a little bit. I think giving yourself grace is starting to work with your body on a daily basis and being like, how can I care for you a bit better?
Yeah.
You looked after me for so long, tried to keep me safe. Now let me look after you. Let me give you grace and treat your body as this like most precious object that you have. Start falling in love with who you are. And that's my number one thing.
Yeah.
Number two thing is inner child work. I will forever be talking about this because as someone who struggled a lot with being overly critical of myself, inner child work healed me in so many ways. It helped me to connect with myself, speak to myself more gently, because you would never say those awful self-critical things to a child. Like if you imagine yourself when you were 8 years old, like I've got a picture of myself when I was probably 5 years old on my phone screen as a reminder, like I'm doing everything for her. And also when I'm having any bad thoughts about myself, I'm like, this is who you're speaking to.
Yeah.
She's just a child. She's just trying to figure out life. Like, give her some grace and just look after herself. She's already been failed by so many adults in her life. Now you've got a chance to be this adult that keeps her safe, keeps her entertained, keeps her like exploring life. And I'm giving her now everything that she never thought is even possible to experience. And that brings me so much joy, but also helps me to be more kind with myself.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's beautiful. I was going to ask you about like some tools that from actual practicals, like for someone that's going through a difficult time at the moment, they might be experiencing what you've experienced. Like, if you can advise them, what would that advice be for them?
I would definitely start with saying that I'm not a psychologist. I graduated from psychology.
We're not psychologists, but just take this at your own risk.
It's from my own experience, and I will always say, if you struggle, if you feel like you know you're not in a safe situation, or you might be suicidal, always seek professional help. That's the number one thing. But if you're trying to help yourself, there's some tools that you can use, very practical tools. And I think what also I like to do, I'm a person that blends spirituality with science, and I like using tools that have an explanation in both.
Okay.
So for example, like you said, affirmations.
Yes.
This is considered to be a spiritual tool because they're saying it brings you into...
It's like a prayer, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like a prayer. It makes you in tune with the vibration of whatever you want. And then when we look at affirmations from scientific perspective, they work because of neuroplasticity. So our brain has this amazing ability to actually rewire itself. So when we constantly repeat affirmations, they actually help to fire certain neurons in our brain constantly, and they create new neurological pathways. And this is how it actually works. And especially it works really well if we in a certain brain wave. So you've got the alpha, beta waves. So most of the time we're in a beta state, which is very alert. Alpha state is where we are a bit more relaxed. It might be a light meditation if we may be doing some breath work. And then the theta state is when we either just woken up or just before going to sleep, or if we're in a state of deep meditation. This is where our brain is in a theta state, and this is where we can actually access our subconscious mind, and this is where it's easier to rewire our brain, and neuroscience obviously support that. And when we repeating affirmations in that state as well, this is where we can easier rewire our brain. So again, affirmations is a great tool.
I love my affirmations. I feel that affirmation changed my life. Hence why I'm actually working on, doing our own affirmation cards. But our affirmation cards are going to be the first one to have actions on them. I believe in action as well. Because words are powerful, but without, action.
And this is how I am even here. This is how I found you. Exactly. I found your videos and
affirmations. And here we are. There you go. Yeah.
They changed my life in so many different ways. They healed my inner child. They helped me be here. And it's incredible because you've been one of the first people actually to support MossMind.
I appreciate that. And obviously I appreciate what you're doing. So for me, it was just natural. That's what I'm trying to do, because I'm trying to heal myself, but also understand myself better as a human being. Because I feel like as humans, we spend so much of our time not just in like autopilot mode, not really, getting to know who we are. And I feel like for me, anything that helps me understand me better and helps me relate to other people better, I'm like, yes, teach me. I want to learn about this. Hence why this conversation for me, I'm like, come talk to me. Let's talk about MossMind, because on that topic, like, what made you create that in the first place, and what are your hopes for it?
Oh, MossMind is almost 1 year old now, but I feel like it's still in a very, very early stages because I do it on the side of my 9 to 5 as a professional work in training and development, which is kind of related as well to psychology because we offer psychometric profiling tools. So we actually help people gain self-awareness, but at work. So we help teams develop, we help companies to work better. But I love that it's a little bit like doing therapy, but for workplace, where we help people understand each other better. And also the tools that we use, they help me understand myself better, which is incredible. So that's what I do day to day. So MossMind, I started it a year ago, and I wanted to create content and help people that are starting with their self-healing and self-development journey. Also, I was really fed up with just constantly seeing things around self-development that only just talked about productivity. So it was like, okay, 5 a.m. you need to get up, you need to work out, you need to do this, and then like work for that many hours, and how is it to be more productive, and use those tools to just like get more stuff done. And I was like, healing is not always about that. Self-development is not always just about that. And then so I felt like on one side there was people that been doing some like deep healing work that was very therapeutical. And then on the other side, people are just hustling. And I was like, how can I bring those two concepts together to help people grow and achieve what they want to achieve, but without burning out, and also helping them develop a better relationship with themselves? Because that's what made the biggest impact in my life, having a better relationship with myself, falling in love with the self-care. But I think, again, self-care was only portrayed as like doing the face mask and like having a water and reading book. And like, I'm like, no, self-care is also like going to the gym and eating healthy and like doing shadow work and journaling and about the things that like you really don't want to talk about, or, really complex feelings and crying for hours. That's also self-care. And I just wanted to give people what I didn't have at the beginning. I wanted to be able to share my story, hoping that it will help someone. And even though I'm only just starting, I feel like this is just the beginning. I've got huge plans for MossMind, but I'm already super grateful for all the support. And even though I don't have many followers, it's crazy what you can do with a little followers.
Like, I feel like followers for me are irrelevant these days.
Oh my God.
I think personally, because imagine right now, imagine if I had one follower and it was you, and right now we're having this powerful conversation. That's impactful.
Of course.
Like, but I feel like with some social media, we see like numbers as like people as like numbers that are like, oh, well, just one person, or I want 10. But I was like, the other day I got like 300 followers on my podcast. I had like I had like 40 people on my YouTube channel like subscribed. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. 40 people actually like stopped and clicked like subscribe button. That's imagine having 40 people around you. My man, I'll be like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. So for me, I'm like, forget followers. Like for me, impact is where it's all at. Like real people, if you made that effort to click follow, for me, like I'm like, wow, you actually want to like get to know me. Like for me, like when someone follows me on my main page, I'm like, I go on their profile and just like see like, okay, do I like this person? Like, 'cause it doesn't matter how many followers you have. I'm following you back because I see a value there. So it's not, for me, followers don't count. So I think the impact you're having, I've seen that you've done events as well. And it looked incredible. Like I was like, yeah.
That's what I mean. Like sometimes it's not about followers. It's about what opportunities can you create when you constantly gonna post, or if you're still creating what you're creating. Because I could have looked and like, you know what, 200 followers. What's that? That's not.
I give up.
But actually, that 200 followers brought me here.
Yeah.
I'm actually being able to speak my truth, talk to people about my story, about what I've learned, and maybe inspire someone on the way, hopefully.
Yeah.
Just with 200 followers. I was able to organize 2 different events, and they were a huge success. And the support that I've received from people, from women, absolutely incredible. I've managed to write an ebook as well.
Come on, girl. Yes, girl. Come on.
It was more of a guide for how to prepare for New Year, but I feel like it's relevant at any point, because it's more how, if you want to close a chapter in your life, how do you let go of what no longer serves you, say goodbye to that part, what you've learned from that chapter, and then how to move on, how to set your goals, how to create your vision, how to keep going. And there's a lot of tools, and I think a lot of tools that we talked about, and there's so many more, like visualization. I think I'm pretty known for dream boards and vision boards.
So I was gonna ask you about that, like about I've seen it as well. Like, how important is that for you, and why do you believe in it so much, and why do you think you should practice it?
100%. Again, this is vision boards, and visualization is one of those that it's supported by spirituality and science. And for me, it's an incredible way of knowing that what I've prayed for is actually came to life. So for me, it keeps me always focused on where I'm going, why I'm doing it. It helps me to understand my why. It's a nice visual way. But also it's so incredibly powerful to look at your vision board. And I've got it on Pinterest, and I've got it on actual vision board that I call it action board as well, because I've got a part where I just put all the pretty pictures, all the affirmations, but then I also have my goals and then my tasks on it. And there's something so incredibly powerful when you look at the picture and you're like, shit, like I've done that. Because it happens so many times. Because I've got thousands of pictures on my Pinterest, and I looked at some and I'm like, this is exactly a copy of a picture that I took. There was a picture that I took in Mexico, and I always wanted to go and see the pyramids. But I never realized when I looked back at the picture, it was the same pyramid, the same, exactly the same shot. There's like a few other pictures that I've got, and I'm like, I took those pictures without even realizing that I'm living my dream right now. And I had so many moments like this in my life where it's like, pinch me. Like 10 years ago, I've dreamt of being where I am. There's so much more that I want to achieve. I'm extremely grateful for everything I've managed to achieve. And vision boards are always a nice reminder of like, this is what I want, but then you can also see what you've already achieved. And I love keeping my vision boards, all the pictures, and then just compare and see like, wow, because it's easy to forget that we're living a dream of that, especially what we dreamed as children.
Honestly, I feel like I definitely agree with you on that one, because I feel like as humans, we're moving so fast that we forget to actually celebrate the wins, celebrate the things that we've achieved. I feel like we focus more on the negative things. because we're like, actually, I'll put my energy into this negative thing, but like what I've actually achieved, and I haven't celebrated. So I was chatting to someone in the podcast about, she was talking about like tapping it in.
Oh, I wanted to talk about EFT tapping as well,
Yeah.
because one of the things that's another powerful tool
Yeah.
that I swear by. EFT tapping is incredible.
Yeah, because my last guest was a specialist, and she's like, we actually did a whole session on me during the episode.
I love that.
And we're going through like I was saying the word and tapping here, and then like here, and then under your eyebrow, under your So for me, I find it fascinating. I said to her, I would love to like because she also like teaches it, so I was like, oh, maybe one day I'll come and learn from you and do the tapping.
I definitely recommend. This is something I think I've started doing within the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And 100%, I feel like you use affirmations and EFT tapping together, and it's just incredible.
Yeah.
It transforms your life. And it looks a bit strange at first, and you're like sit at home in front of the mirror, like tapping yourself in. I'm like, oh my God, I look like an idiot. But then when you actually feel the impact, like your vibration, your energy changes. You just feel incredible.
Yeah, I love that.
And again, EFT tapping, it's spiritual but also scientific. It's about like unlocking the energy, but also it's explained by science.
Yeah, I love that. If you can look back at your younger self, what would you say to her? What advice would you give to her?
To be honest, there's not maybe much guidance I would give her. I think I would just hug her, and I will tell her that it's okay, that she is so much stronger than she can imagine. I think I would just tell her to hold on and tell her that even though she experienced all that pain, one day she's gonna turn that pain into something so beautiful. Because experiencing pain like that is difficult, it's scary, it's awful, and it just makes you want to give up. But I think there's something so comforting about knowing that you can turn that pain into something beautiful. And even there's some things in my life that I'm like, oh my God, please don't ever let me go through that again. I don't regret it. I don't wish my life turned out differently, because that pain helped me develop certain depth that helps me to resonate with some people. It helps me help other people. It helps me understand and appreciate a lot of things in my life. And it's a nice way of living where I can just romanticize everything about my life, where I can find beauty in all the small things. And this is because of the pain that I experienced. So I think, for my inner child, I'll be like, just hold on. I'm here. You're safe. You're going to survive this. And things, as cliche it sounds, like time heals things. And you're going to learn so much, and you're going to develop so much resilience.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I think your strength is admirable. And yeah, honestly, like hearing your story and seeing, you talking about your journey, is very inspiring. All I want to say is like keep going. And you might not see it, but you're changing lives. Because I've had a lot of times when people say to me, "Oh, I watch your affirmations," but they've never liked it. But they're watching, so I want you to know that people are always watching. So keep doing what you're doing, and I'm hoping in the future we're gonna do work together. Build a strong community where we can all, talk about emotions and relate and grow together. I think is important. I believe that people would always need people all the time. So if people want to find you, where can they find you?
Definitely MossMind on Instagram. That's number one. I'm planning to do a little bit more on YouTube. There's not much at the moment, but they also can find me on YouTube, but mainly my Instagram page.
Yeah. Before we go, what would you want someone to take away from this episode?
Oh, I think first, stop treating your body as the enemy. All it ever wanted to do is keep you safe. So start falling in love with looking after yourself. there is a quote of this Polish lady that I absolutely love, and she always say that you are not a problem to be solved, but a miracle to be discovered.
I love that.
I think more people need to know that and practice that. Just stop treating yourself like the problem. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with you. You're just a miracle that needs to be discovered. You just need the right tools. So get curious about the tools, and always don't forget to lean on your community, because community is incredibly important, and you weren't built to do it all alone. So just reach out and also be the community that you want to have.
I believe in that so much. I feel like a lot of the times we all want to change the world, but what I realize is actually changing our world, because once you change your world, you start to influence other people, and then other people start changing their world. Imagine everyone's like impacting their own little lives together. It's powerful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Dziękuję bardzo.
And that's it for today's episode. If something resonated with you, please do one thing: share it, send it to a friend, post it on your story, or just talk about it with someone you trust. These conversations matter. And please, don't forget to subscribe, rate the show, and download each episode. It helps more people find this space and join our movement. And if you're ready to go deeper, join us at empoweredhumantribe.co.uk and on our socials at Empowered Human Tribe. I'm your host, Adeshina Adeshokan. You are not alone, you are not too late, and you are more powerful than you've ever been told. This is Empowered Human Podcast. Keep on shining. I will see you next time, my friend.